My name is Elena, I'm 25 years old, and my life is a gear that spins non-stop to support others' dreams. While you read this, I've probably been standing 12 hours in a row, my hands burned by the stove and feet throbbing tiredness. I am a cook in Romanov, one of Ekaterinburg's busiest restaurants, where I have been working for 6 uninterrupted years. It was not a choice, it was a need. At 18, while my schoolmates dreamed of renowned universities, I stared at the naked reality. My parents couldn't afford college, and I couldn't get a place for the public system. So I entered the Ekaterinburg Technical School of Services and Gastronomy, where I took an accelerated cooking and confectionery course. A year of study, diploma in hand, and the promise of a job. It seemed a good deal at the time. Today, I know it was just the first step of a marathon without a finish line. I started at Romanov as an auxiliary, chopping vegetables until the fingers hurt, washing pots to the skin of the hands crack, and obeying each order of the most experienced cooks. It was a brutal job, endless shifts, a wage that could barely smile, much less to live. But I could stand it. Year after year, climbing the leaps until I become line cook. It is not a glamorous career, but it is stable. Or at least that's what I thought. The truth? I've been working in 2 shifts for years. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., I'm in the restaurant. Then I run home, change, and come back at 5, staying until midnight or later, if the hall is packed. Weekends almost do not exist. Vacation? It's been so long that I don't even remember what it is. Why? Because my family depends on this money. My parents have a mortgage that chokes them. My father takes any service that appears, bricklayer, servant, whatever. My mother spends all day in the supermarket's cashier, with a forced smile to customers who don't even look into their eyes. Together they can barely pay the basic bills. And then there is Anastasia, my 19-year-old sister, about to do 20. She studies at a state university in Tyumen, living in a student accommodation. Quality education, or at least that's what they make us believe. When Anastasia turned 18 and was approved in the entrance exam, my parents sentenced, "She's smart, has a future. It deserves a chance." I, who had chosen the technical course without blinking, heard between lines, "You have made your choice. Now it's your turn to play hers." And so, without discussion, I became the main source of income of the family. My salary pays the mortgage installments, the Anastasia faculty monthly fees, housing expenses, clothing, books. There is just enough to put gas in my old car, buy basic food and, if lucky, a breakfast time. I have no social life. I don't buy new clothes except when the ones I have turned into rags. I live in the same tiny room as when I was a teenager, a bed of single crooked, a wardrobe that slowly collapses. Sometimes I close my eyes and imagine an apartment of mine, but the math is relentless. With what I have left, not a rented room I can. Tiredness is so deep that I barely have energy to dream. Anastasia comes from Tyumen once a month, at most. At home, she meets with school friends, those who, like her, have a future. With me, it barely exchanges 2 words unless you need money or want to vent about how difficult college is. My parents, in turn, shine with pride every time she's around. They ask about classes, the plans, the friends. About me? Silence. After all, what is there to ask someone who just cooks? I write with that. I thought it was right, to sacrifice my days, my nights, my dreams so that my sister had opportunities. Until last Tuesday. I got home after a day D. Upload, exhausted as always, and found them in the kitchen. Anastasia, my mother, my father. Everyone laughing, as if the world was an easy place. "Hi," I muttered, throwing the bag on the floor. "What joy is this?" Anastasia turned, radiant. "Ah, Lena, I was remembering Mom and Dad. Next week I am 20. I will celebrate here, not in Tyumen. Annui. Legal. We could have a family dinner, something simple." It was then that my mother smiled, the way I already know well. "Honey, Anastasia wants something special. Invited 25 friends. You'll prepare everything, serve, get ready later. And please be smiling." It was like a punch in the stomach. I, who work 80 hours a week, who haven't had a day off for months, that I haven't been taking a vacation for years, I should, in my only rest, cook for 25 people, clean the mess and fake happiness? I won't do that, he said, the firmer voice than I felt. Anastasia exploded. You're selfish, Lena. Don't you love me? Do you want to ruin my birthday? My father cut, ice in the voice. You will do what we sent. I suggested a restaurant. My mother laughed, as if I had said a joke. We have no money for that. Unless you can get your boss for free. I answered dry, Ivan Petrovich is not stupid. Nothing is free. She then made it clear, either I played the restaurant, or prepared everything at home. On my day off. At that moment, I understood everything. I was not a daughter, a sister, it was a money machine with arms to work. A tool. I went up to my room, locked the door and sat on the bed, looking at the peeled wall. Downstairs, heard them whispering, Anastasia complaining about my selfishness. I didn't feel angry. Just a deep sadness, as if something inside me had left forever. I thought of all the money I gave them in recent years. On every lost nights, in sleeping dreams. And for the first time, I wondered, when would my turn come after all? He choked a scream, as if I had punched her chest. My father mumbled something about ingratitude, about everything they did for me, how they created me. But his words sounded hollow, like fake coins hitting the counter. You don't understand. My mother squeezed the fists on the table, the trembling voice of contained fury. Anastasia will be humiliated. What are we going to say to the guests? That your selfish sister abandoned the family on her birthday? I looked at them one by one, and for the first time I didn't feel the weight of guilt. Just a sharp clarity, like sharp blade after years of rust. You never asked if I was humiliated. My voice didn't train. They have never asked why a 28-year-old still sleeps in the child's bed while pays the bills of 3 adults. They never thanked them. Only required. As if I were a money machine with legs. My father tried to interrupt, but raised his hand. 6 years, I continued. 6 years I gave up my dreams to play yours. 6 years listening that I owed it, that was my obligation. But do you know what my obligation is now? I squeezed my fingers on the edge of the table, feeling the cold wood under the skin. Survive. Because if I stay another day in that hell, nothing will be left of me. My mother opened her mouth, but no word came out. Maybe because, for the first time, she turned to me. Not as the convenient youngest, not as a walking wallet, but as a woman who had finally stopped bending. You'll turn around, he said, getting up. Just as I turned all these years. Ivan Petrovich, who watched the scene in silence, coughed discreetly. Enter. Maybe it's better, he started, but my father was already getting up, the chair ranging against the floor. You'll regret it, he spat, his finger pointed to my face. When you need us, don't whining. I smiled. Not a kind smile, not an apology smile. A smile that hurt in the cant. The ones in the mouth, so little used. Your mistake, I said. I will never need you again. And I left. I didn't run. I didn't look back. I walked with my spine straight, as if it carried not 3 boxes of belongings, but 6 years of swallowed silences, dormant dreams, a life that was finally started. Outside, the morning air was fresh, almost cruel in its honesty. I took a deep breath. For the first time in years, oxygen seemed mine. Not borrowed. Not stolen. When I returned to the kitchen, the team looked at me curiously, but no one asked. They didn't need to. The smell of onion sautéing mixed with that of freedom, and for the first time, the work did not look like an escape. It was just the beginning. The hand trembled when I leaned my chest, as if the heart was breaking right there, between my fingers. You can't do it with us, she whispered, her voice broken by a pain I couldn't feel anymore. We depend on this money. It was no longer my responsibility. You should have thought about it before, I said, the firm voice as seasoned steel. Before they treat me as a maid. Before you think my sweat, my nightless nights, my blood were a bargain currency for gratitude crumbs. Mother raised her chin, her eyes sparkling from a rage that no longer intimidated. You gave us more than 4.5 million in 2 years. Don't be petty, Lena. Don't be counting on now. I changed the weight from one leg to the other, feeling the floor firm under my feet, my floor, my choice. I won't hear another word. I got up, the chair gritting against the floor as an end point. I moved. I don't come back. From today, pay your own accounts. If you want Anastasia to finish college, that it gets a job. Like any adult. The office door opened before I reached it. Ivan Petrovich was there, his arms crossed, his face a mask of professionalism that did not hide the tension in the corners of his eyes. He had heard everything. Or at least enough. Okay, Elena? He asked. The level tone, of course the question was rhetorical. My parents were fair leaving. I looked over my shoulder. Mother opened her mouth, but the words died before they were born. Actually, we didn't end it yet, she started, but Ivan Petrovich entered the room with a movement that left no room for discussion. I think they ended. His voice was calm, but end. This is a workplace, not a family office. I ask you to leave the establishment. They didn't move. Not for stubbornness, for shock. No one had ever said to them. Not like that. Ivan Petrovich did not wait. A discreet nod, and 2 security guards appeared in the door, impassive. Follow these gentlemen until the exit. And make sure they don't come back. The silence that followed the closing of the door was almost sacred. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of years detached from the shoulders like dead skin. Are you okay, Lena? Ivan Petrovich repeated, this time just for me. I am. And for the first time in years, it was true. He nodded, understanding more than I had said. Family is complicated. But no one has the right to step on you. Not even they. I left the Romanov with his legs still trembling, but the clear mind as crystal. The cell phone vibrated in my pocket, called lost, messages, please. Come back, we can talk. Nastia will understand if you can't help with the party. As if the problem were the damn party. They don't understand yet, Sasha murmured, looking over my shoulder as I showed the screen. The fingers slid fast, I blocked numbers, deleted contacts, cut bridges that only served to suck my energy. It's not about the party. Never has been. I closed my eyes for a second, feeling freedom burns like good fire. It's about the fact that for the first time my money is mine. And then, with a final touch, I disabled the automatic payments. The mortgage of the PA. ISA. The contract of the Anastasia faculty. One click, and the financial umbilical cord has been cut. The sensation? Lightness. As if, after years carrying a stone burden, someone had finally allowed me to let go. The next 2 weeks were such a deep silence that it hurt, not because of their lack, but for the absence of the guilt they always planted in me. I worked my hours in the Romanov without double shift pressure, without the need to stretch each ruble to plug holes that were not mine. Sasha and I divided the bills, there was money left. Money for a new coat. For a dinner out. To dream of vacation, something that until then existed only in television commercials. Until, on a common afternoon, the name Aunt Lyodar blinked on the screen. I almost ignored it. Almost. Your mother told me everything, she said even before I felt, her hands cheering the napkin on the coffee table. That you abandoned them. That they are desperate. She told you why? I asked, taking a sip of the espresso. The bitterness reminded me of every time I swallowed words for them. That you were upset because of Nastia's birthday party. Laughing was involuntary. A dry sound, without joy. Aunt Lyodar, I had been playing everything for 6 years. 6 years when my salary became an extension of their wallet. 6 years when my only day off should be spent serving the party of a girl who doesn't even thank me. She heard, but didn't hear. Like all of them. The glazed eyes, the head swinging in disapproval even before I ended. Lena, in family we help each other, he began, and I already knew what would come, guilt, weight, obligation. Help is reciprocal, I cut. They sucked me to the bones and yet treated me like garbage. Now that the tap has dried up, I'm the villain? His face blushed. Your father took a second job. Your mother does overtime. Nastia had to lock the college. So what? I let the cup hit the saucers with a snap. I'm not responsible for their choices. If you want to eat, work. As I did. You're selfish. He spat, getting up so hard that the chair was ranged. I don't want to know about you anymore. I watched her out, the coffee door knocking behind her. I was there, still, waiting for the remorse. Waiting for Vosenher, who always told me to give in, to go back, to fix it. He didn't come. Instead, a warm certainty. They were finally learning to walk with their own legs. And me. For the first time in years, it breathed without drowning. Now my day is 8 hours. No double shifts unless it is emergency. I want time for me. Maybe take a course to improve my skills, or just rest, savoring every free minute. Next month, I board my first real rest in over 5 years. Sasha and I go to Sochi on a long weekend. Nothing extravagant, but I will because I want to, not because someone expects you to spend my time and my money on them. Sometimes I wonder, what if I hadn't left that night? I would probably still be sleeping in the children's room, working until exhaustion and delivering half of my salary. Maybe I was cooking and cleaning on Nastia's 20-year birthday, just to repeat everything the following year, as if it were my obligation. I don't feel a drop of regret. For the first time in adulthood, I live for me, not to others. It took me 20-5 to understand that I deserve my own existence. But the joy is knowing that, in the end, I understood. And there is no return.